bum 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 ba-dum ba-dum bum 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 da 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 dum bum bum ba-dum ba-ba-dum. Hi friends. Hello. Good evening. My dear friends, I see everyone coming in. I love to hear where you're from, so please share that with me. It makes it so much more interesting when I see where everyone is coming from. Illinois, and I'm snappy too, says Ellen from Silver City, New Mexico. Hi, Joette from Pennsylvania. That's Debbie. Hi. And Angela from Oklahoma, and Hernando, Florida. Hello from Bullard, Texas, says Joanne. Olivia, Wisconsin. Hello. I think that's Wisconsin. Hi, Paula Sibley from. Hi, nice to see you. Sheila from Illinois. Lynn from Los Angeles. Singing along, Lori. Thank you. Hi, friends. So great to see you all. Anyone from Europe or from Australia? We know there are some from Canada. Our Canadian friends are always close by. Pennsylvania, says Elizabeth. Hi, Elizabeth Nair. Oh, I mean, that's so, what a lovely thing to say. Oh, here we go. Hi from Ajax, says Rona. Ajax, Ontario. And then hello from Ottawa, says Monica. Wonderful. Yeah. Beautiful Canada. Beautiful Canada. Love it up there. We have our summer cottage there, and we're looking forward to getting there soon. It's really, some people say it's a happy place. It is our happy place. We love being at that little cottage. Used to live in Germany, says Olivia. Love being able to buy homeopathy at the pharmacy there. Yeah, such a different world, isn't it? And the doctors use homeopathy there a great deal more. And also in South America, doctors use homeopathy. It's only here that it has become something where lay people need to know how to use it, because the doctors don't. They don't know what it means generally. We have some doctors in our academy. We have some doctors who follow us, for which I'm very grateful, but there are far too many who don't know what it is, and so it's exciting to see that. So, hi friends. My name is Joette Calabrese, for those of you who are new, and I say welcome to all of you, and for those of you who have been here before, I love to see you here. Thank you for joining me, friends. It's just wonderful to have this group going. So tonight we're going to talk about, does homeopathy address autoimmune diseases? And then how? Right? How? That's I mean, first of all, let's describe this. So let's get into autoimmune. We know that autoimmune is, well, let me just say this. When I was really sick with my chemical sensitivities, food intolerances, severe allergies, back in the 80s, I'd had allergies earlier in my life, and then I had a respite in the 70s, and then in the 80s it came back with a vengeance. And I have my reasons for believing that I got so bad at that time. But my cousin, who I was very close to, a medical doctor, and when I say close, I mean I've been on vacations with him, and even as an adult. Perry and I and he and his wife went on vacations and spent a lot of time with him. So I was pretty close to him, and he said, you know what, Joette, I think you have an autoimmune disease. It was before I knew that it was allergies or chemical sensitivities. Nobody could tell me really what it was. I was terribly fatigued and anxious. Oh my gosh, it was a mess. So anyway, it scared the wits out of me. Autoimmune. Now, there was no internet for me to look it up, but I knew that autoimmune was not a good thing. It scared me, because it means that, the body is fighting against itself, essentially. It's kind of, that's oversimplification, but that certainly does describe it. So autoimmune is, to me, meant there's no hope. I wasn't going to go anywhere with this. This was going to be my demise, or I was just going to have to learn to live with it. And so that was very troubling. And I can understand when people ask me, so can homeopathy treat autoimmune diseases? First, let me say, certainly. I'm not saying that it will take to complete cure. We'll take it to complete cure. We never, ever tell people that this will cure you. I've talked about how things have been cured, but I'm not going to tell someone that they can be cured, because we don't know how far the remedies will go. We don't know how far the ability of the body, the person's body, will be able to take it. So it's one of those things that Sometimes we see an immediate response. Sometimes we see it takes days, weeks, months, even a few years of homeopathic use. Now, let me just stop and say, when I say that could take years for homeopathy to do its good work, it doesn't mean you have to wait 2 years and then bam, you're better. No. We start with how the person is feeling now. We get an idea of the degree to which they're suffering. On a scale of 1 to 10, how painful are those joints? On a scale of 1 to 10, how disturbing is it to you that you have these painful joints? Tell me how often it happens. Oh, it's every day. Okay. Is it all day, every day? Oh, it's all the time. No, then if you kind of tease it apart a little bit, you might find out, no, it's really, really bad in the morning. Really bad in the morning. And I can bear it right about noonish, and I can kind of get some tasks done. And so then I'm a little bit better in the afternoon. What makes it worse? Oh, it's much worse in the damp weather, the cold, damp weather. Oh, it's much worse after I've moved too much, or it's much worse in bed when I have to flip around and try to find comfort. So you can imagine what I'm describing right now is rheumatoid arthritis. Osteoarthritis too, but we're talking about autoimmune. So when we have that information, now we can really zero in on the condition. But to call autoimmune can we treat autoimmune? Homeopathy has been known and has done very good work in autoimmune diseases. But it's simply a category, my friends. And so a lot of times when I'm teaching homeopathy, I say, get the word autoimmune, cross it off, then get a match, light it on fire, and step on it. Because it's meaningless. It's meaningless to us. It's a category in conventional medicine, just like genetic or hereditary disorders can be a category. So can metabolic disorders be a category. So can degenerative diseases be a category. Can homeopathy treat degenerative diseases? Can homeopathy treat metabolic diseases? So that's why I want you to get that word autoimmune, that is such a scary word, and just forget it. At least when we're using homeopathy, it's inconsequential. It's not very effective. I will give you one situation in which we could use that word and get a little more information with it, but I'll put that aside for a moment. I'll get to it. Infectious diseases. That's a category of diseases or conditions in conventional medicine. Can homeopathy treat mononucleosis? Yes, of course. Can homeopathy treat bacteria infections, parasites, prions, etc.? Certainly it can. Can homeopathy deal with hypersensitivity or allergic disorders? That's another category. You bet it does. I teach a whole course just on allergic conditions and hypersensitivity. Can homeopathy deal with another category, toxic or environmental disorders? You bet. I have a whole course just on toxicity, just on how to deal with that, what medicines to use for what exposure to what toxin and or how it's presenting. Can homeopathy treat iatrogenic disorders or conditions? You bet it can. Iatrogenic disorders or conditions are those conditions that are related to having had the disease brought on by conventional drugs, by medical treatment itself, by drugs, surgery, radiation. People get sick from those, and that's a specific kind of disease, and it's called iatrogenic. So drug side effects, surgical complications, antibiotic and associated, for example, antibiotic-associated colitis, very common, that antibiotics cause colitis and other conditions as well. So you see, it's just a category. And so I want you to remember that, because that will put us in much better stead. Yes, Epstein-Barr. Can homeopathy treat it? You bet it can. Yes, it can. Absolutely it can. There is no condition that I know of in this beautiful world of homeopathy that is not able to treat conditions. Now, how far will it take it? If it's, let me see if I can think of something. Well, you'll come up with some ideas, I'm sure. How far will it take it? It might take it all the way. All the way. By the way, Tammy, that was one of the conditions I had too. I was told back there in the early 80s that I had Epstein-Barr. Yes. So that was another concern. And so did I use something specific for Epstein-Barr? It turned out that I didn't need to do that. Type 1 diabetes? Yes. Now, I'm going to tell you, type 1 diabetes is, I personally, professionally, have not seen type 1 diabetes brought to complete fruition, come to an end. What I have seen is that many times the person needs less and fewer injections. They can be, their diet is, especially if they zero in on their diet. And the American Diabetes Association is not the association we want to be associated with. I mean, I don't know if you've ever looked on their site, but they've got all kinds of desserts for, all kinds of recipes for desserts with sugar or maple syrup, granola, those kinds of things. So, is there something for a collapsed parotid gland? Yes, absolutely. Glands. We've got a whole section on glands in this book. So what we're talking about tonight is how if we put it in a category like that, it seems incomprehensible. It seems insurmountable. It appears that we're never going to get out of this because that is the way conventional medicine looks at it. It believes that if you've inherited a condition, you're doomed. There's no good. You won't come up. No good will come from it. You can treat the symptoms, but we can't. They say we can't treat the condition. We can't give the person a much better life. I have a little dog who has skin allergies, collapsed trachea, and heart murmurs. She has breathing issues. I just started giving her Arsenicum album 30. Is this a good idea? Oh, I'm so sorry. I would love to be able to be more specific than that. But the best way to know, TL747TL, is to try it and see how it goes and watch what happens. Skin allergies, Arsenicum album can be very useful. And heart, Arsenicum album is very good for the heart. And trachea, I have to think about that. Arsenicum could potentially be a good medicine for that also. I'm going to read some of your comments. I was recommending a remedy for breakthrough pain to a normie friend and her visiting friend from Ecuador. Her friend said, I only use real medicine. And her visitor said, in Ecuador, homeopathy is real medicine. That's the way it goes, friends. Colombia, Venezuela, those folks all use, because their doctors use it. We think that, remember now, homeopathy is the second most used medicine on earth. The second. The first, those of you who've been with me for a while already know the answer to this. But for those of you who are new, I'll bet you're thinking, if you're from North America, that the first must be conventional medicine, right? Nay. No, my friends. The first is Chinese medicine, because we live in this little bubble in North America, Canada and the U.S. We live in a little world in which we believe that the only kind of medicine that's out there is the stuff we see on television and on billboards, and that we are taught to go see the doctor on a regular basis and get these drugs. That's not the way it is in the rest of the world, where homeopathy is alive and well. All righty, let's see what else we've got. Let's see. Western medicine calls a category fibromyalgia. Is this considered autoimmune in your opinion? I don't know, Lorraine. I have to say, I don't know that I would consider that fibromyalgia autoimmune. But what difference does it make? And that's really my point. My point tonight is it doesn't matter what category it is. There's a little bit of information that could be. No, let me put it to you this way. When we're taking someone's case who has, let's say, rheumatoid arthritis or fibromyalgia, actually written about it, Joette Calabrese-实fibromyalgia. I used to have it myself. I had terrible fibromyalgia, and I talk about how I found the medicine, which if you read it up on it, Joette Calabrese-实fibromyalgia, you'll see exactly what I used, and for most people, it really is pretty quick. It happened for me, I think it was just a couple of days, and I was infinitely better in no time at all. So it doesn't matter if it is an autoimmune. What matters is, what are the symptoms? How is the person suffering? So we could say, does homeopathy treat headaches? The answer is yes. But what kind of headache? We're talking about a sinus headache? We're talking about migraine headache? Is the headache in the temples? Is it above the eyes? Is it more over one eye than the other? Is it between the eyes? Is it only when there's a barometric pressure shift? Does it happen only after you've had ice cream? Is it only during menopause? Is it before menses? Is it pounding? Is it throbbing? Is it stabbing? Do you see how important it is that we look at how it's presenting? Symptoms are king. Thrombocytopenia, immune thrombocytopenia. Yes, of course. I mean, really, let me ask you this. Why not? Let's see. Hashimoto's, absolutely. I teach it. It's in our, I think that I teach Hashimoto's specifically, which the specific medicines that we use for it in my, I think it's in feminopathy course. Joette's Learning Center, scroll down to feminopathy course. But my friends, a lot of these conditions I teach specifically, or I've given to you for free on the blog, or it's in one of my courses. Now, not all of them. My sons have Down syndrome and developed hypothyroid due to production of antibodies. Now, Down syndrome is not something that homeopathy we can't turn around Down syndrome and bring the child to a different level, but we can treat the hypothyroidism. Yes, regardless of what it's due to, whether it's due to production of antibodies or it's due to having not had enough salt or not enough iodine in their salt. It doesn't matter what it's due to. And what I mean by that is that's good information when someone, your homeopath, takes the case, or you learn how to do this through the academy. That once you get this, once you get the hang of this, it'll start falling into place and you'll start seeing that these conditions, we simply break it down. We tease it apart and break it down. Let's just see. If you can give me, I know you want to write in abbreviations, but give me the true words, okay, instead of abbreviations. So, Amina, if you could do that, then because I don't know that UC. I have to think about. Oh, ulcerative colitis. My daughter was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis so badly that she was close to having a bag. Herb supplements, then homeopathy brought her back to life. Since then, I'm a believer. You bet, Amina. You bet. Absolutely. Ulcerative colitis is not, I know that sounds ridiculous. It's not that difficult to treat homeopathically. It really isn't. It really isn't. First, we cut out certain foods, the foods that we know that are causing trouble, and we use the homeopathic medicines. Then as the person improves, then we can start bringing some of this back into their lives again. What's good for a child who developed a motor tic, a head shaking tic? I was told belladonna. Well, belladonna is one of them, Maggie. I can't say that I can address that right now. I mean, it's a head shaking. Let me just tell you this, my friends. I want to teach you how to fish instead of handing you the fish. And autoimmune diseases and these kinds of conditions that people come asking questions about, so desperately looking for answers, are best met with one of two ways to do this. Either you learn how to do this by coming into my academy or taking some of my courses, going to Joette's Learning Center, or join the academy if you're not ready to do that, or going to findapracticalhomeopath.com, and you will find people who have gone through my academy and my mastery program, and some of them are even in my mastermind program, and those are the people who you can count on to help you a great deal. And so, I'm going to give you a third option. You can always contact the Pradeep Banerjee Homeopathic Research Foundation in Calcutta as well. That's another way you can approach this. So either you learn it yourself, and when you learn this, I think you're going to be surprised at how quickly you will pick up on this. It does take some real curiosity, and I think you already have that, or you wouldn't be here. But it also takes some time, but it's one of the greatest, most joyous paths I think most people will ever travel. Okay, used arsenicum album for my, she means dog, with itchy feet. She paced and was acting anxious, so gave arsenicum 30C 3 times, worked like a miracle. You're right, Tammy. You see, now here's what's interesting. What made her feet itchy? Was it an autoimmune disease? Was she pacing because of an autoimmune disease? Was she pacing because it was inherited? It was a genetic disease. Was she pacing because she was exposed to toxins? All of those, they can have an aspect of a modicum of value, having the cause, the etiology associated with it. But it matters not whether or not it's autoimmune or any other category. Did you hear about chronic, recurrent, multifocal osteomyelitis being cured with homeopathic treatment? Chronic, multifocal osteomyelitis, absolutely. That's what I had myself. I had that. And I taught all about it. I've taught about it here and there, but most in depth is in my course, Joette's Learning Center. Scroll down and go to antibiotic alternative. Now, chronic recurring, it's not uncommon for osteomyelitis, multifocal osteomyelitis, to be chronic. I mean, how else would you do it? Because they debride. They open the gum, go into the bone, debride. And how are you going to get into all those little cracks and crevices that the doctor, the dentist can't scoop out? How do they do that? The only way, as far as I'm concerned, to be able to deal with recurrent multifocal osteomyelitis is with homeopathy. I have RA. I've been using homeopathy for 2 years now. I'm so glad to hear that, Nancy. I hope it's really helping you. Let me also, fibromyalgia is bad magnesium deficiency. Yes, it can be. Amina, you're right. It can be. You're absolutely right. And a lot of our chronic diseases stem from having been treated previously for other conditions that we thought were unrelated. Plus, it can also be related to our diet. What about nerve damage, hearing loss? How about Addie? Just think hearing loss. It can be, what does it mean, nerve damage? Most hearing is nerve damage. Not all of it, but most of it is. Okay, so I want to go back to this for a moment. I'm going to show you Robin Murphy's Meta Repertory, 4th edition. For those of you who have this, I'm just going to show this to you. There's a section here called in the general section, clinical section on page 2088 for those of you who are my students. So I love having you all here. There's a rubric called Autoimmune Diseases, and it gives us a number of medicines, about 80, as I counted earlier. And one of the big ones is carcinosin, very important. Nat sulf, very important. Staphysagria, syphilinum, thuya, very important. Let me just tell you, we do not go to this book and look up the medicine and say, okay, let's choose one, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. No, we're using that as part of an entire picture to choose the medicine that is connected to not only the fact that it is autoimmune, but more importantly, what are the symptoms? So, fibromyalgia, what are the symptoms? Ow, ow, ow. Tenderness everywhere, especially at certain times, in the cold weather, for example. What's another one we just looked at? A chronic, recurrent, multifocal osteomyelitis. Often there's no symptom at all. That's what makes it even crazier, because osteomyelitis doesn't have obvious symptoms. Sometimes it does, but more often than it doesn't. The person might taste something. It might feel a little tender. There might be a lymph node that's swollen. There might be an associated condition across the clavicle. That's interestingly. All righty. Let's see what else we've got here. I get migraines when eating certain foods. Yes, bad sinus. Sanguinaria 200 has been my go-to remedy, but I have to take it many times. Yes, it's okay. It's okay, Anne, if you have to take it many times. I'm afraid that we've gotten the impression, and I hope that I did not give you this impression, that you only need to take a remedy once or twice and it's gone. No. Take it again and again and again. Just as, who just said that? Nancy says, I've been using homeopathy for 2 years now for my RA. All right. Let's see what else we've got. We got a lot of questions coming in. And I'm glad you're helping each other. Thank you, Fernisha, for helping. Let's see. It's flipping down, so I can't see. Okay. Migraines from Anne. Sanguinaria 200 has been my go-to remedy, but I have to take it many times. Today, when I fell felt one coming on. I took a dose of sanguinary. It helped, then started coming on again. Then I recalled your program on allergies a few weeks ago and decided to take the histamine. 30C was the only one I have. It went away and has been a couple of hours and hasn't come back again. Oh, beautiful, Anne. That's a beautiful thing. My friends, when we use a medicine and it's acted, beautiful. We're very pleased. But when we use a medicine and it's acted and then it stops acting, even if it's the fourth or fifth time or even weeks from now or months from then, when we're at that juncture, we might have to pivot because it's not helping any longer. So what are we looking at now? What are the symptoms now? What are we observing now? What has changed? Now we use those symptoms to determine the next medicine. That is case management. So don't assume that one medicine is going to take it all the way. Sometimes it does. I mean, more often than we'd like to believe, or that most believe. I believe it, and I'm happy to believe it. Okay. Let's see. I'm seeing good results with clearing out my sister's foot infection from a spider bite, thanks to Joette's protocols. Oh, Elizabeth, thank you for saying that's beautiful. The new Academy of Practical Homeopathy class starts this summer. I'm so grateful to have finished the academy, and I'm now in mastery. Yes, you are, Phoenicia. I've learned so much to help my 10 children. Phoenicia has 10 children, my husband, my chronic pains, and helped others too, even beyond the protocol courses, and I highly recommend it. Thank you for saying that, Phoenicia. The more children you have, the more you need this information, friends. The more livestock you have, the more you need this information. The more pets you have, the more you need this information. That's the best way to look at this. Now, you can go into practice, but my friends, being in practice is what Phoenicia's doing. She's taking care of her 10 children, her husband, and I know that she's also taking care of her parents and friends. So there you go. That's how this should work. Let's see what else we've got. Migraine, dizziness from allergy and light sensitivity. So whether it is migraine, Joette Calabrese, migraines. Now look up that medicine, the medicines that I suggest, at least to start. This may not be the only remedy. We give you a good start, and then you go from there. And then you look at what medicines, and then you read up on that medicine. I want you to read about it in a Materia Medica. And we always talk about the Materia Medicas that are available, not ours. I have a Materia Medica as well, but to go in much greater depth, if you don't have my Materia Medica, then you go to, my friends, let's talk about Boraki, Fatak. Somebody would please put that in there for those who are new and need to know that. Let's see. All kinds of headaches. I played with all of the remedies. My 2 years menopausal migraines are completely gone. Ah, Mina, so pretty. It's such a pretty name. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, Nancy says it's a process for using Banerjee protocols if they're available for the chronics and using remedies for acute flares. Yes. What about silent celiac? Well, Olivia, what we're talking about is I know what silent means, that you're not getting symptoms, but there must be some symptom or you would not have gone to the gastroenterologist to find out that indeed it was celiac. There must be something. So choose that. Choose what those symptoms, and use that to help you. I feel autoimmune issues can stem from vaccine injury. My daughter says yes, and it can cause eczema and other medical issues. She says vaccines can take a while to be removed from generations. Well, when I was 6 weeks old, I was given my first round, and within a few weeks, I had eczema for 13 years. That was pretty severe at certain times. Not all the time, but at certain times. Yeah. Tinker with Mother Nature, my friends. Tinker with, I have a better way of putting it, God's gift. That means of the life that we have. Tinker with it and at our own potential demise. So I'm not saying we never use conventional medicine, but use it sparingly, choose wisely, determine what's really, really important to do. In other words, if you get hit by a Zamboni and you're flat on that ice rink, my friends, get to an emergency room. You may need surgery, and you may need general anesthesia. Indeed, you might need antibiotics at that moment in time. Yes, save drugs for then if you possibly can. Spinal stenosis. Here's the thing with spinal stenosis. I have to say, I think it's overdiagnosed. Now, it may not be the question, that may not be the question you're asking, but I believe spinal stenosis is grossly overdiagnosed. Because people go for MRIs or X-rays and they go, you've got spinal stenosis. What they're doing is just describing what they're seeing. But are you suffering? Or is this person suffering from spinal stenosis? Are you sure it's the stenosis that's causing this? Are you sure it's not muscular response to perhaps stenosis? And what are the symptoms of that person's spinal stenosis? That's important too. That is important, because if the symptoms are, oh my gosh, this hurts so much every time I get up out of a chair, we got Rhus-Tox. We got Symphytum 200 mixed with Rhus-Tox. Cats cough with strong body movements, and its only noticeable symptom, aside from being hungry all the time, it's a rescued cat. Lovely, loving, calm, loves being in the yard. Have to give him processed food because he seems to be used to that from previous owner. So, with strong body movement. Oh, so when the cat moves strongly, then it has a cough. Okay, my friends, cough worse from movement. Let's go, students of mine. What is a cough worse from movement? We're going to start hearing from everyone, Caro. That's what's really fun here, is that there are some really top-notch students of mine. Karen says, thank you for the timely article on alpha-gal. Lone Star ticks have just been found in my county, and one was on last week after I picked off my cat. No bite. I was able to comfort my neighbor who was very worried about it with the information about these beautiful medicines. Yeah, start right away. Pick it off, take it off, clean it off properly. Lead them 200. Use that for a few. So if anyone's interested, I just wrote about alpha-gal syndrome last night on my blog. So take a look. Joette Calabrese, alpha-gal syndrome, and you'll find it. All right, let's see if we can do this. Oh, it's already 8:32. We're going to go to, yes, can Sjogren's with small nerve neuropathy and dry nose, mouth, and eyes, etc. be treated with home? Yes, it can. Tane R. Yes, it can. But also look to the drugs that you may be taking for other conditions. Sinuses, any conditions for urinary tract issues. Watch those drugs. Drugs often can cause those kinds of conditions. But yes, homeopathy can do that as well. Okay, I think you're all helping each other. I love it. All right, friends, we're going to be going to Joette's Mighty Members. We're going to that in a minute. If you're not a Mighty Member, do consider joining so that you can be part of this. It's very inexpensive. And Perry, you're going to count down for me.